Jake Sully is a Marine who was paralyzed in battle. His twin brother, Tommy, had been training for 3 years to control an avatar on Pandora, a planet humans have invaded, hoping to get unobtainium, a precious metal. Jake is recruited when his brother dies to take over his avatar, a hybrid of the DNA of a human and a Na-6, one of Pandora's indigenous people. He is transported to Pandora via a cryochamber and disembarks using an oxygen mask since humans cannot breathe the air on Pandora. When Jake arrives at Pandora, he meets Dr. Grace Augustine and a fellow avatar driver named Norm Spellman. Grace is pissed that Jake is there, saying that she needs Tommy, who had trained for this. However, she puts Jake in his link, which puts his brain in control of the avatar. Once he awakens in his avatar body, he immediately disobeys the orders of the doctors, who want him to ease into things. He runs out of the facility, joyful that he has the use of his legs. Grace meets with Parker Selfridge, who seems to be the mastermind behind the invasion. The military leader is Colonel Quaritch. Grace is upset that Parker keeps trying to nose his way into the Avatar program, which is her department. Jake, Norm, and Grace take their avatars over the wall of the facility in a helicopter flown by Trudy Chacon. She drops them off for their canvassing mission, and Jake wanders away from the group. Here, he runs into a dinosaur-like creature who nearly attacks him. Grace tells him not to shoot it, as the creature's skin is too thick for bullets. However, a different creature arrives and starts to attack Jake. Grace screams at Jake to run, which he does. He only escapes by jumping off a cliff into a huge waterfall. However, now he is separated from the group. Grace, Norm, and Trudy fly over until nightfall, trying to find him, but have to follow orders not to be out at night. Grace fears Jake will not survive the night alone on Pandora. Jake is wandering around the forest at night, where a ton of different creatures are wandering around. We see Neytiri, a Na-6, perched on a branch above him. She is about to shoot him with an arrow when a little sea anemone-looking thing lands on her arrow. This seems to be a sign, and she does not shoot. Later, Jake finds himself in the middle of a pack of the panther-like creatures that attacked him before. Eventually, he tries to fight them off and is about to lose when Neytiri runs over and starts killing the creatures with her bow and arrow. Jake thanks her profusely, but she is very upset about having to take the life of these innocent creatures. Jake follows her through the forest, asking her to teach him how to defend himself. She is going to refuse, but suddenly those anemone creatures are all around them again. Thousands of them perch on Jake's body, and Neytiri looks stunned. She takes him to a clearing, where a bunch of Na-6 ride up on Pandora's version of horses. They want to kill Jake since they know he is one of the Sky People, a human in an avatar's body. However, Neytiri says he was chosen by Iwa, their deity. They agree to bring him back to their home tree, where the final decision will be made by the leaders. At Home Tree, Jake meets Neytiri's parents, Moat and Itukin, who are the leaders of this clan of Na-6. They are angry at Neytiri for bringing Jake, who repeats that there was a sign from Iwa. Jake says all he wants to do is learn, and they agree to let him stay on the condition that Neytiri teaches him everything. She complains about this responsibility, but her parents' word is final. They all go to sleep, and Jake wakes up in his human form, back at the base. Grace and Norm are relieved that his avatar is safe and grill him for details. They are impressed that he survived the attack of the creatures and has somehow gotten in with the Na-6. They want him to use this position to try to find a diplomatic solution. However, Colonel Quaritch also meets with Jake and tells him to use this position to find out their weaknesses, so the military can know how they can best beat the Na-6. He says that if Jake does this, he will see to it that Jake gets an expensive surgery to regain the use of his legs. There is a montage of Neytiri teaching Jake different things, including the language of the Na-6 and how to ride the horses. The braids that the Na-6 wear intertwine with the reins of the horses, so they are linked through their minds. Jake keeps falling off his horse, and Neytiri makes him try again and again. Jake is getting more involved with the clan, and convinces them to let Grace's avatar visit, which she does. Neytiri is also trying to teach him how to make a clean kill. Once he finally does, while saying a prayer over the corpse, she says he is ready. She takes him to the lair of her banshee, a pterodactyl-like bird that she can also ride using the connection of her braid to his. Neytiri says that, unlike the horses, each Na-6 rides only one banshee for life, and Jake has to find his. The two of them, along with some other Na-6, climb up a huge structure in the sky to get to where the banshees live. Neytiri tells Jake that he will know what banshee is meant for him, since all the others will fly away in fear, but his will try to kill him. Jake finds a banshee that stands up to him, and tackles the banshee to try and make the first connection. Jake is nearly killed but finally makes the connection and takes his first ride. He says in voiceover that horses are not for him, but he was made to fly. Neytiri joins him on her own banshee, and they exchange many loving looks. Suddenly, they are attacked by the Leonopteryx, a huge dragon-like creature that is easily 5 times as big as a banshee. They fly down to the ground and somehow shake off the Leonopteryx. Every time that Jake's avatar goes to sleep, he wakes up in his human form. When he is human, he makes video logs talking about what he has done on Pandora. One set of logs he keeps for Grace, and another he sends to Colonel Quaritch. He doesn't send one to Quaritch for a while, so the Colonel is getting suspicious that Jake's head isn't in the game. Jake says he just needs more time before they attack. He wants to find some sort of a diplomatic solution. Back on Pandora, Neytiri takes Jake to a sacred area, where the Na-6 can make connections to Iwa, and can hear the memories of their ancestors. Neytiri says that by bringing Jake there, she has solidified his position in the clan and he will officially be made one of them. She says he can choose a woman and makes suggestions as to who he might pick. He says he's already made his decision, but this woman has to choose him in return. Neytiri says she has, and they make love. Neytiri wakes up the next morning to the sound of a bulldozer coming through the trees. The humans have come in to take down the trees of Iwa. Neytiri is screaming with anguish and trying to get them to stop. Jake is still asleep, and is not in his link back at the base. Grace forces him to eat before linking again. He finally links at just the right time before they are run over by the bulldozer. He waves his arms frantically to try to get the bulldozer to stop, which it does for a split second before starting again. Colonel Quaritch is controlling the bulldozer. Jake jumps on the machine and breaks the cameras so they cannot control it anymore. Colonel Quaritch looks at the video and realizes that this is Jake. He realizes Jake has switched sides. Back at Home Tree, everyone is distraught that Iwa's valley has been destroyed by the humans. Grace is there as well, in avatar form. The Na-6 are angry with them for bringing the Sky People there, although they say they had nothing to do with it. Suddenly, Tute, a Na-6 that has never really warmed to Jake, realizes that Neytiri and Jake have mated. At the base, Colonel Quaritch storms into the link area and breaks Grace's and Jake's links. Grace yells at Parker, saying they need more time. Quaritch and Parker want to attack Home Tree, which sits on top of Pandora's biggest unobtainium deposit. They agree to let Jake and Grace link up again to try and get the Na-6 out of Home Tree. Jake and Grace go to Home Tree to try and convince them to leave since they know Colonel Quaritch and Parker will not wait to attack. Jake admits he knew from the beginning they were planning this, and Neytiri starts to sob, saying she trusted him. He tries to tell her that everything changed, he fell in love with her in Pandora, but she screams at him to leave. Grace and Jake are tied up as the military starts to arrive. The aircraft starts to attack with bombs, the Na-6 retaliate with arrows that have no effect. Moat, Neytiri's mother, unties Grace and Jake, saying if they are truly Na-6, they need to help them. Trudy is in one of the helicopters, but leaves, saying she didn't sign up for this. Eventually, the bombs cause Home Tree to crack and collapse. Neytiri's father is killed in the battle, and the military retreats. Once again, Quaritch breaks Grace and Jake's links. They are screaming that he is a murderer, and they, along with Norm, are placed in a prison cell. Trudy brings the prisoners food but pulls a gun on the guard and frees the 3 of them with the help of Max, a doctor in the Avatar program. As they are leaving, Jake tells Max to stay behind, as he needs someone he can trust on the inside. Trudy starts up her helicopter and is detected by Quaritch, who bursts out into the hangar and starts shooting. The four of them barely get off the ground. They are going to the floating mountains, where they have another link station, and they cannot be tracked as they are too high up in the atmosphere. As they fly, Jake realizes that Grace has been shot and is bleeding profusely. Once they arrive at the link station, Jake decides that he has to regain the trust of the Nausicaa. He takes his Banshee and decides to try and make a connection with the Leonopteryx, who would not be expecting this. He succeeds in training the creature and flies it to the Tree of Souls, where the Nausicaa have relocated. Once they realize he has trained the beast, they are in awe of him. Neytiri says she was afraid for her people but isn't anymore. She says, "I see you," which is the highest statement of love between the Nausicaa. It means they see into one another's souls. Jake returns the sentiment but quickly says that he needs help, as Grace is dying. Grace and her avatar are both brought to the Nausicaa, where Moat performs a ritual that would put Grace's consciousness permanently into her avatar so she would not need to be linked, and she would survive this way. Despite all their pleas to Iwa, her injuries were too great, and she dies. Jake then gives a speech that he knows the Sky People are planning to attack again, and they must stand up and fight. They have to enlist all the other Pandora clans, which they do. Back at the base, Quaritch sees via radar that their numbers are slowly growing to over 2,000 Nausicaa. Max sends a video message to Jake, Grace, and Trudy that they are planning to mobilize and attack the Tree of Souls. Jake is alone at the Tree of Souls, where he makes a plea to Iwa to help his people, the Nausicaa. Neytiri comes up behind him and says despite his efforts, Iwa does not take sides, she only protects the balance of life. They embrace. The final battle begins with ground troops coming in. They notice that something is getting closer and closer on the radar. It is the Nausicaa, on their horses. In the air, the military's planes are planning to attack when they are attacked by Nausicaa on Banshees. Jake and Neytiri are among these soldiers, while Norm is on the ground. The Nausicaa on the ground are being decimated, as they are going up against guns with bows and arrows. Those in the air are causing some damage, but not enough. Trudy is attacking Quaritch's plane with her own helicopter but is hit and her helicopter explodes, killing her. Norm is also shot on the ground and awakens in his link station, gasping for air. Neytiri is attacked by a plane and falls to the forest floor, but survives. Neytiri is on the ground, hiding but surrounded by humans. Jake screams at her not to attack, as she will certainly be killed. She does not listen and prepares her bow to fight to the death, but suddenly the humans stop. They have detected something else approaching on the radar. Suddenly, all the creatures from the beginning charge the humans, who start being killed in droves. Neytiri screams with joy that Iwa listened to Jake. Jake attacks Quaritch's plane, but Quaritch somehow escapes by getting into a huge robot-like shell that humans can control in battle. He falls to the forest floor and starts fighting with Jake man-on-man. They are right next to the link station where Jake is still linked to his avatar. Quaritch hits the link station, which causes a small hole to form in Jake's bed. Since humans cannot breathe Pandora's air, his human body, still linked to his avatar, starts choking. Jake, in his avatar form, is still fighting but is pinned by Quaritch, who is about to kill him when Neytiri appears and shoots 2 arrows right through Quaritch's chest. Once he is dead, she runs over to Jake, who has fallen unconscious due to the trauma his human form is going through. Back in his human form, he stumbles out of his link station but cannot reach the emergency oxygen mask due to his paralysis. He falls to the floor and stops breathing. She then runs into the link station and puts the oxygen mask on Jake's human form. He wakes up and is able to breathe again. She cradles him in her arms and they both say, "I see you." Jake, in his human form, gives his last video log. He says the humans were sent back to Earth, and only a few were allowed to remain behind. He says that he can't be late to his own party, and signs off. At the Tree of Souls, Moat and Neytiri are performing the same ritual they tried to perform with Grace. Jake's consciousness is permanently put in his avatar form, and he opens his eyes. The film starts on Pandora, with Jake Sully recapping his life since joining the Na-6 as chief of the Omaticaya clan. He and Neytiri have become parents to Nedium, Loak, and Tuck, along with another adopted daughter, Kiri, who is the biological daughter of Grace Augustine's Na-6 avatar. The kids also spend time with a human boy, Spider, who was left behind with the human scientists after the previous group evacuated Pandora since babies couldn't be put into cryostasis. While the children see Spider as something of a cousin, Neytiri feels the boy would be better off with other humans, in part due to her own hatred of the Sky people. While everything seems blissful, Jake's happiness is quickly shattered when shuttles of RDA ships begin to descend upon Pandora, destroying huge parts of the forest and killing the wildlife. Jake and Neytiri get their children and the other Na-6 to safety, but Jake holds his wife as they watch in horror at the devastation left behind. 1 year later, Colonel Miles Quaritch wakes up resurrected in his own avatar body. While he attacks his former teammates, all now in their own Na-6 skins, Quaritch soon realizes what happened after watching a video log he left himself before their previous attempted mission to tear down the Na-6 Tree of Souls before he and his team were all killed. After gathering their new weaponry, Quaritch decides to lead a team back onto Pandora with one goal in mind: killing Jake. Jake leads several Na-6 to fly their Ikran to attack the humans' aircraft and supply lines. Medium and Loak attempt to join the fight, nearly getting severely injured in the process. Jake gets them to safety but chastises them for putting themselves in the line of fire. The group returns to their camp with the rest of the clan. Jake discusses with Neytiri how these changes are impacting their children's lives. Meanwhile, Spider joins Loak and Kiri as they go to the humans' research facility where Norm Spellman and Max Patel continue to work. Kiri talks to Grace's avatar as her body lies in the tank. Spider then notes that his Na-6 friends at least know their parents, while he knows and resents who his father was, Quaritch. Quaritch and his team arrive at their base and meet General Francis Ardmore, who updates him on their operations since his time being dead. Ardmore informs them of the advantages the Omaticaya have on them before telling them how they can gain their own upper hand. The team enters the forest at the exact same time that Jake's kids and Spider are playing there. While Kiri immerses herself in the nature, the other kids spot Quaritch and his team as they survey the former Link unit for the humans and their avatars. He finds his skeleton inside the AMP suit where he was killed. The villains find the kids, and they realize they are Jake's kids because they have 5 fingers. Quaritch meets Spider and realizes he is the boy's father. Quaritch calls in Ardmore and her squad to come down while he takes the other kids as hostages. Jake and Neytiri are alerted to the scene, and both are stunned to see their nemesis alive and in a Na-6 body. Neytiri kills some of Quaritch's team before they open fire. She and Jake manage to get their kids back, but Quaritch and his surviving teammates fall back, taking Spider with them. Ardmore subjects the boy to a torture method to get him to disclose information on the clan's location, but Quaritch stops her and opts to try and get closer to Spider to earn his trust. He convinces Spider to ride along with him on their mission, or else the scientists will experiment on him. Jake talks to Neytiri about having to leave the clan now that they are being targeted. He passes on leadership to another warrior, Tarsum, and he leaves the clan with Neytiri and their children. They fly their Ikran and head toward the eastern seaboard to the home of the Metkayina clan of Na-6. The clan gathers with their leader, Tanawari, and his pregnant wife, Ronal. Jake requests shelter for the sake of his family, though Ronal and other tribesmen are quick to look down on Jake and his kids for their half-human heritage, as well as the potential of bringing their dangers to this land. However, Tanawari respects the accomplishment of the Torik Makto and allows them to stay, and also instructs his children Ayanung and Syria to show Jake's children how to adapt to their oceanic surroundings. Quaritch and his team take Spider through the forest, with Spider becoming their translator for the Na-6 language that the team is still trying to learn. Quaritch also manages to link himself to his own Ikran, albeit more forcefully than the Omaticaya did. Jake's kids join Ayanung and Syria, plus Ayanung's friend Ratso, as they explore the reef. Cyria shows that they communicate with the underwater creatures via sign language, and they link to them the same way the Omaticea link to their animals. However, when Loeke attempts to connect to a creature, he is pulled quickly through the water and is thrown off. Meanwhile, Kiri has a more natural connection to the creatures and helps one of them interact with Tuck. Jake and Neytiri are shown how to fly the Tsurik, which can move in the air as well as underwater. Loeke gets closer to Cyria, who shows him how to better his breathing underwater. He also takes him and his sisters deeper underwater by using creatures that provide air when resting on their backs. However, Aonung and Ratso are antagonistic toward Kiri for her being considered a half-breed, leading to Loeke punching Aonung in the face. Medium joins in the fight along with Aonung's friends, leading to Jake scolding his sons for their behavior. Jake forces Loeke to apologize to Aonung. He does so, and Aonung invites Loeke to hunt with him and his friends. They go far enough until they trick Loeke into going after a creature, just before he and his creature are attacked by an Akula that kills Loeke's mount before chasing after him. Loeke attempts to swim back up before he runs out of breath, but the Akula attempts to go for the kill until Loeke is saved by a whale-like creature called a Tulkun, named Payakan. Loeke follows Payakan and finds a harpoon stuck in his fin, so he removes it and earns Payakan's trust. Jake speaks to Kiri, who has been feeling different lately due to what she has been seeing. She claims she can feel the heartbeat of their goddess Iwa, and that it is mighty. Jake assures her that there is nothing wrong with her. Everyone then sees Loeke return, and Tanawari scolds Aonung for leading Loeke beyond the reef when it is forbidden, but Loeke takes the blame for everything to spare Aonung from getting in trouble. Jake tells Loeke that he has shamed the family with his actions, but Aonung comes to respect Loeke. Loeke tells his siblings, plus Cyria and the other Metkayina, about his encounter with Payakan, but Cyria informs Loeke that Pakayan is considered an outcast among the other Tulkun. After Loeke attempts to communicate with Payakan to learn more about his history, Cyria takes the others toward the cove of their ancestors, showing them how the land looks during the eclipse. She also guides them underwater to the Metkayina Tree of Souls. When Kiri connects herself to the tree, she is able to see and communicate with grace. However, Kiri soon suffers a terrible seizure, and her siblings bring her back to the shore. Jake gets Norm and Max to try and help Kiri, but they are of no help until Ronald tries her hand and is able to revive Kiri. Norm tells Jake that any visions she thinks she is seeing might be a result of frontal lobe epilepsy. Unfortunately, Quaritch's teammate Lyle Wainfleet informs him of a radar picked up off the gunship that Norm and Max came in on. The villains then meet up with a whaling vessel operated by Captain Mick Scoresby and Dr. Ian Garvin to give them more of an advantage, since they are already hunting Tulkun for anti-aging remedies. The Metkayina bond with their Tulkun, including Ronald and her soul sister Roa. Soon, Quaritch and his team show up. They mercilessly kill a Tulkun and threaten a Metkayina woman unless they disclose the location of Jake and his family. Spider becomes horrified and tries to get his father to stop. The villains then begin to burn down their trees and homes. Quaritch orders his team to attack to draw Jake to them. Loeke once again tries to ask Payakan what he did to make him an outcast. Payakan opens his mouth and allows Loeke to enter him and link with him. Loeke sees Payakan's memories and sees that he attacked the whalers because they killed his mother and family. Loeke attempts to relay this new information to the Metkayina, but Jake tries to shut him up so that they do not risk further alienating the Metkayina. Loeke talks to Cyria about this, and she believes in him. The whalers begin their attack, launching harpoons filled with inflatables and piercing the fins of the Tulkun, including Roa and her child. After collecting their material from her, Ronald and the other Metkayina arrive, and Ronald wails in agony at the loss of her soul sister and her child. Tanawari and Ronald, along with dozens of angry Metkayina, turn their ire toward Jake for leading the villains to their land as they knew would happen. When Jake points out that the Tulkun will be marked for death with the whalers' trackers, he tells the Metkayina to warn the Tulkun before more of them are killed. Loeke heads off to warn Payakan, despite Medium's warnings against it. He follows his brother, along with Cyria and Aonung, and then Kiri and Tuk. They find Payakan, already hit with a tracker. Medium contacts Jake to alert him, and he and Neytiri head off to rescue their kids. The whalers initiate their attack, going after the kids and Tulkan. The kids are captured in the struggle and are held prisoner on the vessel. When Jake and company arrive, Quaritch orders him to stand down, holding Loak at gunpoint to show he's serious. Jake prepares to surrender himself until Payakan sees his soul brother in danger, so he leaps out of the water and slams down onto the vessel, taking some whalers down in the process. The Nausicaa use this moment to charge into battle. With help from Payakan and the Metkayina, they are able to kill most of the whalers. Scoresby attempts to harpoon Payakan, but he manages to wrap the wire around their boat, killing the men and severing Scoresby's arm in the process. The kids escape, and Kiri uses her powers to manipulate the ocean environment to kill some whalers. Spider also turns on the other humans and rejoins his Nausicaa family. In the midst of the battle, Medium rescues his siblings and their friends, but he is shot. The family gets to a rock where they attempt to help Medium, but he succumbs to his wounds. Neytiri wails in despair at the loss of her son, and the rest of the family is devastated. Quaritch contacts Jake, revealing he has Kiri and Tuk as his hostages. Jake heads into the sinking vessel for the final showdown, accompanied by Neytiri, Spider, and Loak. Neytiri ruthlessly slaughters Quaritch's team in retribution for Medium, just as Jake goes to face his nemesis. After Jake frees Tuk, Quaritch emerges with Kiri and a knife to her throat. Neytiri grabs Spider and threatens his life in return. Although Quaritch tries to deny his care and relationship with the boy, he relents and lets Kiri go after Neytiri cuts Spider across his chest. Neytiri brings the kids to safety, and Jake decides to end it with Quaritch, fighting to the death. The vessel starts to come down completely, trapping the family underwater. Jake fights Quaritch until he manages to get him in a chokehold and let him sink underwater. Loak finds his father, who tells him to go without him since Jake doesn't think he will make it, but Loak helps him breathe the weight Cyria showed him, and they escape with Payakan. Meanwhile, Kiri summons the underwater creatures to help her get Neytiri and Tuk out of there. Spider swims to save Quaritch, but he abandons him for his evil deeds and rejoins Jake's family, with Jake officially taking him in as a son. Jake prepares to bid Tanawari farewell, but he tells Jake that he and his family are Metkayina now and are welcome to stay. The family then holds a funeral for Medium, where his body is given to the Tree of Souls, and they are told that he is now with Iwa. Jake and Neytiri link themselves to the tree, where they are able to see Medium through memories. Jake, recognizing this land as his family's new home, vows to continue to fight and protect them.